There's a bunch of issues. Bernie dropped out. Biden's left. Some of the problem with Bernie dropping out, and why I'm upset at Bernie in particular. I'm a huge Bernie supporter, but I am upset particularly with him because dropping out now leaves him no leverage to help the party. He could have continued to collect delegates. He could have moved the platform forward, continued to try and push Biden to the left, which is just crazy. Like, how do you have to be pushed to the fucking left? If this is the stream dropping out a nod to Bernie, shut up, Dave. What's up, man? So there's talk that Bernie's going to be chatting with Biden, trying to figure out how to get his things in place. I just heard about another convention note where, like, if you have 25% of the delegates when you go to the convention, you have opportunity to lobby for minority positions. I don't exactly know what that means. If it means like changing the race in some time for next time. Either way, here's what it means when Bernie drops out this time. It means that we don't ever have a chance to get Bernie again. He's going to be 82 when the next election comes up. Think about what that means. We have a guy, Joe Biden, who's the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, who is on record, and there is no debate about it, has lied several times to his supporters, to everyone, to the country. Lied on dozens and dozens and dozens of occasions. His campaign has had to apologize for it dozens of times. He's just a liar. I mean, it doesn't necessarily make him the most evil human being in the world, but he's someone who lies. Donald Trump, I think we can all agree, tends to lie sometimes. Is that the nice way to put it? We had a guy who is like the most honest politician in history, possibly in history. Was he more honest than Abraham Lincoln or whatever his moniker was? I don't know. But in terms of recent politics, the last 30 years, the most honest politician that we've ever seen is Bernie Sanders. And we as a country decided, no, you know what? Fuck him. I'd rather have a bunch of liars lying to me all of the time. That's who I would like to elect. Someone who says they're going to do something and then does not do that thing, or does the opposite of that thing. That's one way that Biden and Trump are similar. Would you like to talk about other ways? Sexual harassment is a serious thing in every job in the world. Donald Trump is accused of sexual harassment by many women. Many. So is Joe Biden. I'm not even just talking about Tara Reade. If you don't believe Tara Reade or whatever, some kind of bullshit, you think she's a Russian operative or whatever dumb thing the Democrats are making up, fine. What about the other 7 women? Do you think that Tara Reade is the last woman that's coming forward before November? Joe Biden has a problem with that. It tends to be that way. People that sexually harass women tend to have the MO of sexually harassing women. It's likely not the last time. Do you think that Donald Trump's not going to run that video of Joe Biden touching women and like those little kids inappropriately, like when they were taking pictures together? You can call that conspiracy, whatever, but there's literally video proof of all this crap. There's proof of it online. This is the guy that we chose instead of one of the most honest politicians of all time. That is why I'm angry today. Because everyone's brought up thinking, you're not supposed to lie. That's what I tell my children. You're not supposed to lie. You're supposed to tell the truth. Right? Supposed to be a good person, do the right thing. So we have a candidate that does the right thing and fights the right fights his entire goddamn life. That's not the guy we want. Let's take the other guy who tried to rape someone or whatever the hell the accusation is. That is an accusation. That's not anything that happened in court or or whatever. At this point, Bernie is still on the ballot. The 25 states remaining all will still vote, collecting as many delegates as possible before the convention will give leverage for some changes. I hope. I totally agree with you, Unity. Totally. I hope so. I did see today that the all-knowing and uncomparable Andrew Cuomo added something to the budget last, like a month ago, beginning of this month, where New York can drop any candidate off the ballot who is no longer in the race. So he could choose to do that. The commissioner of the Democratic Party in New York is able to take Bernie off of the ballot because he is no longer in the race. And if that happens, I can't. It's just like people can't even get their chance to vote for the guy they really love. Taught your whole life, do the right thing. I was saying the governor of New York has the opportunity or the power, or got into the budget rather. The power is actually with the Democratic commissioner or whoever, the deputy commissioner, whatever it is. His name is Spano, and the other guy is like Dennis Kellner or Keller or something like that. Those guys are supposed to be meeting this week to decide if they take Bernie Sanders off of the New York ballot because it is in the budget or in some kind of law that Cuomo pushed where they can drop people off the ballot that are no longer in the race. So Bernie may not be on the ballot in time for New York on like June 23rd or whatever the hell it is. They may just take him off. I hope they don't do that. That would be a real kick in the junk to democracy, but they might. But back to the point of like people are supposed to do the right thing, like, right? You're not supposed to reward people that cheat and steal and murder and hurt other people and lie. Those, you're taught when you're a kid that you're not supposed to reward those people, right? They're supposed to be punished in some way. So we have the opposite of that. We have a candidate that's very honest. To a fault, by the way. I have problems with how Bernie ran his campaign and that he did not go more negative on Joe Biden. But still, to a fault, he's a nice guy. There's nobody except for dumbass Hillary Clinton, there's nobody that's going to claim that Bernie's a mean guy. No one. He's always done the right thing. You've seen his voting record. He's always voted on the right side of history, voted against wars, voted down bailouts, sometimes the only person to do so. And we reward him by saying, get the F out. We don't want you in politics or being in this, the leader of the country or anything like that. Nah, we'd rather have the leader be someone who does the opposite of that, someone who lies, someone who votes for wars and to hurt people, sexually assaults women. Those are the people we want in charge. So how do you I'm being a little exaggerative or expositional or whatever you want to call it. But how do you then go to your kids and go, hey, you know what? Stop doing that. You need to do the right thing. How you succeed in life is by being nice to other people, being honest, and doing the right thing. It's not true. We're proving it's not true. We're literally proving it. So we basically screwed our chance at having this amazing politician, or at least an amazing human being that could have restored some honesty and integrity to our political system. We've ruined our chance at that. He will never be able to run again. His supposed successors or people that tried to follow in his footsteps have lately it seems like Alexandria Ocasio has been sort of waffling back and forth, maybe on the fence a little bit about whether she wants to be on the progressive side or she wants to be more in with like Pelosi and the Democratic Party. Fine. I thought maybe she was the champion. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's just the next Pelosi, the next mama bear, whatever she calls Nancy. Biden, who forgets what he is saying. Yeah, Biden forgets where he is. I mean, that's one of the arguments, that he has in his own favor with these sexual assault allegations. He might legitimately not remember that happened. He may not. I don't. That's possible. So we ruin our chances with this guy. We'll never have him again. Progressive politics is essentially now dead for 8 years, I bet, at least. That's 8 years is probably the next time when AOC can run for president. I believe it's 8 years because of her age. And that's only if she comes back to the Progressive Party, the progressive wing of things. Legitimately, there's more progressive minded in that sort of mindset people on the Republican side. Think about that. Josh Hawley and people like that actually think in terms of progressive politics instead of old guard corporatist garbage. So we have Biden. And the huge fight today online is, of course, first of all, a condemning of Biden or Bernie bros, because that's easy and somehow not disproven yet, even though Twitter analytics shows that Bernie supporters are no more negative than Biden supporters or Trump supporters or Warren supporters or any of that. But Bernie bros is something the media will only speak about, that they're so negative. It's not possible that it's because of passion and because they believe in these ideas. It's only possible that they're negative monsters and trolls trying to ruin the country or whatever, or hurt people. I don't. So today broke out in this huge fight this afternoon between Bernie people who are obviously upset, like myself, that their candidate has dropped out. But it's filled with Biden people coming out, first of all, celebrating, which is a lot of fun to see that. But also, basically saying, well, get in line. Blue no matter who. We got to beat Donald Trump. Everybody. Guess who was one of the first? Remember our old friend Elizabeth Warren? Remember her? Elizabeth Warren, she was supposed to be the progressive champion of the party. And then she attacked Bernie, saying that he told her that a woman can never be president, which is so absurd. And he bold-faced denied it. And then she never brought it up again, by the way. Elizabeth Warren, who after dropping or stays in the race, even though the moderates are consolidating. So whatever, she has her entitled. She's obviously entitled to run as much as she likes. But she, I see this stream hiccup there for a second. Sorry about that. But Elizabeth Warren, the one who dropped out and then refused to endorse, literally the other progressive candidate. So Elizabeth Warren is supposed to be progressive. She drops out of the race and refuses to endorse the only other progressive candidate, someone that she has, in her own admission, been friends with for decades. Worked together for decades. Won't endorse him. When people asked her for reasons, reporters, they were met with, well, there's some people on the internet that were mean to her. So if you think about what that kind of means, it's, somebody was mean to me on the internet, so nobody gets universal health care and people could just continue to die. That's worth it. That makes sense. Troll's mad at me. Troll comes into the chat right now and starts talking shit to me. I'm just going to go rob a bank. Tell him that trolls made me do it. People gave her shit, gave her snake emojis and all that stuff. I mean, it's tough to argue against it. Whether or not that's right, that's fine. But people were understandably upset. Progressive people that voted for Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, in some ways, not always, Bernie is not blameless in this. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Elizabeth Warren contributed to the fact that the campaign did not succeed. Donald Trump tweeted it out. You can think whatever you want about Donald Trump. This afternoon when Bernie dropped out, his tweet said, Bernie drops out. Thank you, Elizabeth Warren, for doing the DNC's bidding and keeping Bernie out, or something like that. He knows how it is. No one else will say it. Apparently only Donald Trump's going to say it, but that's what she did. The progressive policies had a way to go forward if she dropped out and supported Bernie, and you damn sure know that Bernie would have offered her like literally anything. Plus they're friends. So she doesn't drop out way back then. And today she's the first to tweet, thank you so much, Bernie, for pushing our progressive policies forward. And we're going to continue fighting in your big thing. And, we'll continue pushing your policies forward. And thank you for moving the rhetoric to the left. And everyone's sitting there looking at it like, are you effing kidding me right now, Elizabeth Warren? Are you kidding me? Of all the people to say that, that's you? There's a lot of people that said some dumb crap today. She might have been number one. Has Bernie exposed enough corruption and greed? The challenge has been getting people involved. That's a good point. Giving up is not an option. It's up to us to keep this movement moving forward. Now, I agree with that. So one of the conversations that will be had is how best to move this movement forward. What does that look like? Does that look like continuing to support the DNC, who quite obviously wanted absolutely nothing to do with Bernie Sanders or the progressive faction of the party? That's very clear. So what's the path forward? Ideally, in my opinion, I would love it if Bernie would run third so we could start a third progressive party. That would be amazing. I would 100% be on board with that. Of course, it would mean getting Donald Trump again, but it would push the long-term politics in the country forward. I don't think anyone can deny that. Bernie considers Warren his friend. I doubt she feels the same in private. Exactly. I totally agree with that, Aztec, by the way. What's up? I agree. I think Warren is very, what's it called? Capitalizing on any opportunity. That's why people give her the snake emoji. If she can benefit personally, she's going to do it. And what it turns out to be is she's a little bit used the progressive party to get where she wanted to go. And when it came down to it, to actually be a progressive and to push the movement forward, she chose against that. So what does it look like going forward for the progressive party? I know that Cenk from the Young Turks, who's probably on right now, has talked this morning about how he's going to support Biden because he doesn't want Donald Trump and all that. And he wants to keep things moving forward. But how do you do that? Do you vote for Joe Biden? When you think about the progressive policies, one of the problems is that one of the problems with the progressive faction is acquiescing to what the Democrats say, right? They always say power concedes nothing without force, right? I think, what's his name? Who said that? Frederick Douglass, maybe, said something like that. No one's going to concede power for no reason. You have to take it. You have to force them to do it. So how do you do that? I'm not saying, riot or anything like that yet. I don't know, maybe that's some people's option or whatever. But I'm saying, what is... Like, they're never going to get, they, being the Democratic Party, will never give any ground to the progressives ever if they can keep their own stuff and still guilt and shame the progressives into voting how they want. Look what happened in 2016. Oh, well, now that Bernie's out, you have to vote for us. Donald Trump is too dangerous. We're going to be in World War III. We're all going to die. There's going to be invasions of, all this. The economy is going to collapse. Although Granted, it did take a hit from coronavirus, but you know, um, all these terrible things, world was going to end, all this crap was going to happen. Then he was elected. Then it was, okay, he's going to get impeached within a year, so no big deal. And then it turns out that none of this happens. And his approval rating is now like 56% or something like that. He's not doing terrible. He's not doing as terrible as people would like. So they're just going to say it again. This time it's going to be, well, Supreme Court, justices, you have to vote for us. And then next time, it's going to be, well, Joe Biden said he only wanted to do one term, but now we have to run against Nikki Haley, and she's a pretty strong opponent. So you've got to vote for the Democratic. That's the only way we can do it. And we got things rolling with Joe Biden. Now we need you guys to come on board again. It's always, 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 always about progressives giving in all their ideals to keep the left afloat. Always. It is never, ever about the Democrats conceding anything to the progressives. Ever. If you don't think that's true, what has Joe Biden done for us? Did you see his speech today? When Bernie conceded, he had a speech in Politico or whatever in like 2 minutes. Obviously, that shit was written beforehand. But he basically, in it, he talks about how, oh, it's so great that Bernie's advanced all these ideas and made us think about all these different things. And I'm committed to working with you guys and having affordable health care and et cetera, and et cetera, and et cetera. In his speech, he again won't agree with Medicare for all, which is like the linchpin policy for a huge number of progressives. If that doesn't tell you everything, think about it. The Democrats and the blue no matter who people will tell you one thing. The most important thing is beating Donald Trump. He is a danger to everybody, all this crap, all this garbage, right? He's a danger of the world. They'll tell you that until they're blue in the face. That it's all about beating him. That's all that matters is beating Donald Trump. They'll say that. That's the only thing that matters. And then I go like this. Okay, it's the only thing that matters. So replace Joe Biden's health policy with Medicare for all. Just swap it. Just swap one policy. Hey, V-dubs. Yeah, you can, whatever language you want, buddy. Just replace it with Medicare for all. Whoa. Hey, hang on, guys. Medicare for all. Whoa, we can't do that. But I thought you said you wanted to beat Donald Trump. You said that was the most important thing. Well, yeah, it is. Okay, then let's do Medicare for all. Whoa. Can't do that. That's way too far. We're talking about incremental steps to get there. No, I understand that. Yeah, you want incremental steps. We want Medicare for all. We'll all come vote for you if you come to our side on policies. Well, you don't understand. Donald Trump. Like, there is no interest in meeting the progressives halfway. None. Zero. Protests take to the streets in spacesuits. That'd be awesome. His virtual town hall. Yeah, it was a joke. Of course. MLK said that a moderate Dems are more of a threat than the open racists because they delay change instead of taking direct and immediate initiative. I remember that, Aztec. I've seen that. And I think Bernie talked about that. And I think Killer Mike talked about it. Yeah, that's super dangerous. I mean, Martin Luther King is very intelligent, and he obviously did so much for the country. Like, he knew what the danger was. Consistently saying, oh, yeah, we totally believe in Medicare for all. We totally believe in climate change and helping get the ball rolling. We absolutely believe that there's income inequality. We believe all the same stuff you do. Okay, great. Let's take some action on it. Whoa, hang on. We like those ideas. We can't do anything about it yet. Why not? We have the people. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not time. Maybe next time. When the F is next time, dude? It's been next time for like 20 years. What? Ugh. Do you know how fucking hard-headed politicians are, though? That's true. What's up, Kill? How you doing, buddy? Jamie asked me, Bernie dropped out? Yeah. Oh, well, fuck us sideways. Yep. Pretty much. Good call, Jamie. Looks like you're talking yourself. Mosh has lost it. That was long before tonight. So the question I was posing is, what does the progressive movement look like? Every single politician, every single one, including the ones that destroyed Bernie Sanders, destroyed every goddamn one of his ideas. Medicare for all is dumb, costs too much, all this stuff, all these policies are garbage. As soon as he drops out, what a great man. What a great man Bernie is. Thank you so much for advancing our rhetoric to the left and to bringing new policies and to helping us move forward. Oh, you guys actually want to move forward? No. Well, I just want to tweet that I agree with that. We don't want to do that. And yes, I do realize that we terribly tore him down and destroyed him in the past and all of his policies. But, you know, I want his supporters to vote for us. Back to Biden's little mention today that, oh, yeah, we want affordable health care. Do you know how easy it would have been? How easy if your only goal was defeating Donald Trump, as he has said many times, as the Democratic Party says many times, their only goal is defeating Donald Trump. What kind of grand slam, softball pitch over the plate is it to just say, yeah, Medicare for all sounds right. Now's the time. We're going to take inspiration from Bernie Sanders. We're doing Medicare for all. Fuck my plan. Let's go all in for Medicare for all. And instantly, all the progressives are like, yeah. And we move forward. Who in their right mind doesn't see that? You think athletes are in the middle of a game and they have an easy chance to score the game-winning run or the game-winning touchdown or goal or whatever, you know, analogy you want, and they don't take it and instead like kick it out of bounds? Like, you have a layup. All you had to do is say it, and he can't even do it. He can't even say it then. Do you know why? Because his donors and the people that kind of control what he has decided to do won't allow him to say that. How is that not clear to every person in the world? It should have been an easy layup, not, no, I totally hear you guys. We can't do that stuff, but I totally hear you. Young men. He's going to make a TikTok now or some dumb shit trying to reach young voters. Jesus. AOC has switched her focus to turning red seats blue over a longer period of time, a moderate Dem approach. I just mentioned AOC a little bit ago. I was disappointed with her too. The second biggest disappointment this primary so far has been, actually third because Bernie dropped out, has been AOC. The second biggest being whatever the hell happened to Elizabeth Warren. Trump is only a system of a sick system. The system needs to change for good to happen. Removing Trump won't cure our problems. Exactly. And you know what's funny is that is the stance of progressives. That's the mindset. It's not about the person. It's about policy. It's about changing what we know is the systematic problem. Income inequality. That is a base root problem. But no, it's, oh, these guys are just upset because their candidate lost. It's not about the goddamn candidate. It's not about the goddamn candidate. All Biden had to do was say, yeah, I'm all for Medicare for all. Yeah, I'm all for criminal justice reform. Yeah, let's do the Green New Deal. A couple of those things. Oh, by the way, I'm going to throw Nina Turner in as VP. Oh, by the way, I'm going to have Bernie come in and do some kind of Secretary of Health initiatives or something like that. Every single progressive would have been like, okay, that's pretty good. But no. He had a chance to say it. He chose to say the opposite. I'm committed to working toward affordable health care. We don't want affordable health care. Universal health care is the word. Oh, my God. Just continually spitting in the face of people. If you also didn't see it, CNN talking head people were on after the announcement that Bernie was dropping out. Right afterwards, dude. I'm not joking. Go look up the clip. I'm not going to play it because it's going to make me fucking throw up. Their big comment back to Bernie was, you know what? He wasn't very nice to Biden in his concession speech. Well, I had to listen to it twice. He wasn't very nice to him. He should have been more congratulatory and less standoffish with Biden. I went back and listened to Bernie's concession, his video, he literally says, Joe's a great man. I look forward to working with him in the future. I think we're going to win working together. He says like those words. I say like those words. I don't remember exactly. It's paraphrasing, but it's something like that. Joe is a decent man. I look forward to working with him on his campaign, or something like that, or working with whatever to get the policies that are important to America, something like that. You can imagine him saying it, but he definitely said Biden is a decent man. Biden's a good man. And immediately CNN's like, he should have been nicer. What? What was Bernie supposed to do to be nicer? Like write him a love note? What was the nicer part? Present him with roses? It's so absurd. And this is what they focus on. Not even when Bernie concedes and all of his supporters are obviously hurting can they say even one nice thing about Bernie Sanders. Like, holy shit. Oh, back in December, I would figure that if the DNC chose Biden, they hand it to Trump again. Yep. However, now after this mishandling of COVID, I'm not so sure. Yep, they're going to blame Bernie for Biden's probable loss against Trump. Yeah, exactly. And that's something that Cenk was saying today. And so did Kyle Kalinske, who has a great show on YouTube called Secular Talk. But he was saying today that here's the thing with the progressives and the Democratic Party. If Joe Biden wins, none of them are going to go, oh, you know what? We couldn't have done it without the Bernie supporters. We couldn't have done it without the progressives. They're an important part of this Democratic Party, and we need to move forward with them lockstep, taking in some of their ideas into account. They're never going to say that if he wins. They'll go, look at what we did in the face of adversity. And if he loses, guess what they're going to say? Guess what they're going to say? Biden lost. Can you believe these goddamn Bernie bros voting for Trump? They must all be Russians. There is no, like, what is it called? It's like, is it cognitive dissonance? Where it's like they can't even manage to understand what it is that the problem is. They have no concept of that it could be a shortcoming of their party or of their strategy. They have no concept of that. We're going to see that play out in real time here when Joe Biden picks his vice president. I have three ideas, actually two ideas, that it will be Amy Klobuchar or Elizabeth Warren. And Amy Klobuchar will be an obvious pick for him, and obvious to the progressives, because the DNC doesn't give a fuck what the progressives think. They're like a different party. There's no interest in moving forward with them. So they'll take a different moderate who's a female. He's already committed to having a female vice president, so he's in that now. The other hilarious thing will be for him to pick Elizabeth Warren, who, Batman, what's up? Can't believe you're not voting. The other funny pick will be if he picks Elizabeth Warren for his vice president, because in his brain and in his campaign's brain and all his really, really smart Neera Tanden, Anita Hill, whoever, they're going to go, you know what? Let's pick Elizabeth Warren because she's a progressive and she can bring us the progressive vote. Not even understanding that that's not the case. But they might think it and take Elizabeth Warren anyways, which ironically may have the opposite effect of bringing anyone into that party after how Warren treated the progressives and Sanders. You could see them doing it, though, thinking this is it. This is our solution, is bringing Elizabeth Warren. This is going to be our ace in the hole. We don't have to acquiesce to any of the progressive ideas. We'll just bring in Warren. Jesus Christ. Watch him do it and then expect to win immediately. I'd rather Trump in there than someone that doesn't know where the fuck he is or what he's saying. That's a legitimate concern, Kill. That's a legitimate concern. There's a lot of people out there that say that's conspiracy bullshit and he has a stutter or something. But anyone that actually compares Joe Biden now to Joe Biden like even 5 years ago is like, holy shit, there's something wrong with that guy. Because I know I won't fall in line with a forgetful Joe Biden. Yeah, if it's, I mean, forgetful, there's many other names to call him that are worse than that. That's very nice of you to say that. Do you think he's going to pick a female VP just because history? It shouldn't be because it's a female. It should be like the best of their policies. Like, what the fuck? What if he picks Hillary? Oh, my God. So, to Kill's question, do you think he's going to pick a female? He already backed himself into that corner. Not that it's a bad corner to be in. But he said that in the debate. He said, I'm going to pick a female vice president without question in the debate. They asked Bernie the same question, and he said, it will probably be a female. He said the words, it will probably be a female, but he's going to look at all the candidates. Now, any rational thinking person will go, that makes sense. Pick the best person for the job. You don't want to force a status quo and be like, no, I have to pick a female, and then you line them all up together and you're like, oh, the female that I want, that the top 3 picks that I have aren't like as good as maybe someone else, if that was the case. But stating up front without doing any analysis on vice presidential candidates and who's interested, and automatically saying like, oh no, it has to be a female is pandering bullshit. And to be honest, if I were a female voter, I would feel insulted by that. That he sees it as like a pandering maneuver to get vote. It's just silly. So, and the irony of that whole exchange between Biden and Bernie was that for like the next week on CNN and the Washington Post and the Times, all these different magazines and news articles and all this shit was, oh my God, is Bernie sexist? He won't pick a female vice president. Bernie said he was open to it and it would probably be a female. He didn't guarantee you today it will be a female. That was the only difference. And then Joe Biden, oh, he's the candidate of females everywhere, even though he has like 8 sexual assault allegations against him. He's the best one. All women should vote for Joe Biden, the guy who possibly has raped people in the past. That's okay. Don't worry about that. He said he would pick a vice president. That makes it better, right? If you're accused of raping someone and have 7 sexual assault allegations in your past, no big deal. I'll just pick a race partner that is a female, and that'll just smooth everything over. We're good. I think that's how it works. Oh God. If he picks Hillary, that might actually bury his campaign more than any progressive. Progressives will just go, well, our work here is done. If he picked Hillary, Bernie should just immediately go, all right, you know what? We're running third party because this is absurd. He's never going to pick Hillary. It'll be Klobuchar or Michelle, what's her name from Michigan, or Warren, or Harris. I watched some of the debate with no audience, and I had to stop. I couldn't take it anymore. It felt dumb. Biden is going to be the next Bill Clinton. How can he even get vice president with that history? That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, the guy has like a history of sexual assault and or worse. I mean, sexual assault is rape technically sexual assault? I think so. So we could just blanket it all and say sexual assault. But like, he has a history of sexual assault allegations. He hasn't denied them all. He has apologized publicly for them. Okay. This is a guy that any female candidate wants to go, yep, that's the candidate for me. This is why the recent news with Alyssa Milano has been so rough, because she has been a big Me Too supporter for like years. Obviously, she was very, very outspoken against Judge Kavanaugh because he had sexual assault allegations, right? She was basically saying all over Twitter, everything, you aren't fit to sit on the court. She said to Al Franken, you aren't fit to be here because you are accused of sexual assault. You can't be a senator. But, Alyssa, what about the guy that you're promoting as to be president. Oh, no. That's all. That's all just allegations. Those women, suspect timing and all this stuff. We don't believe them. Right. Okay. So Alyssa, you're a big lying piece of shit. Okay. Just so we know. And the Me Too movement was a tool for the Democratic Party to use for votes. Just understand that straight up. They have no interest in supporting a woman's protection against sexual assault or coming forward in any kind of dignity or safe manner to be respected and to have your claim be validated and maybe just even investigated. They have no interest in that. If it's against one of their candidates, that's not of interest. But if it's a Republican, Donald Trump, do you remember what he said in that locker room? He calls it locker room talk. Can you believe that? What a scumbag. This guy can't be president. Hey, wait a minute. Didn't your candidate that you're backing sexually assault like 8 different women? Shh. What? No. Shh. Donald Trump. What if he gets another term? But I'm just trying to say, isn't that hypocritical to take the stance that you're condemning one sexual assault perpetrator but promoting another one? No. Shh. You don't understand. Donald Trump is a monster. Holy shit. I can't even with these people, dude. Sexual assault is touching and groping. Okay, thank you. There's a meme of him burying his head in someone's neck. Dude, the guy is the creepiest guy ever. According to laws in his state, fucking hypocrites. Laws don't exist for those sitting at the top. That's 150% true, Unity. 150% true. Which not ironically, but correctly, was a lot of Bernie Sanders' campaign platform. Was like, there's no equality in the super rich elite people and the poorest people in the country. There's no equality of any kind. There's no law that applies to those people. Anything they want is what goes. These people, I don't give a shit. What, are you serious? That's literally their stance. And for the longest time, the Democratic Party has said that's the Republican way. The Republicans, those are the ones that don't give a shit about poor people. They want to step all over everybody. They're racist. They're want to control women's bodies. They're corporatists. All this kind of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that not all of that is true. What I am saying is, where do you guys see the dividing line between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party? Where do you see that at? Because more and more it's looking like the really only big divider is like some religion and maybe guns. Because the money problem is, we're okay. Do you think Nancy Pelosi fought very hard to keep that $500 billion, trillion, whatever, slush fund off of that bill? No. She was totally fine with that. Problem is people don't care. So why should Dems care? That's true. Which is a lot of the heartache for the Progressive Party is like, hey, we actually give a shit about people. We want to help people. And there's like, what? No, shut up. What's wrong with you guys? Just vote how we say. That's literally the moderate platform. This should just be their slogan. Just shut the fuck up and do what we say. Or the better one is, oh no, we love your idea. We can't do it now, but maybe next time. But someone said to me, I forget if it was in our Discord channel, which by the way is a link below this video someplace. You're free to join it. There's a politics channel in there. Someone said it's the equivalent of a parent telling their children, we'll see. You have a kid ask you, hey, Dad, could we go to, amusement park today? Yeah, we'll see. You goddamn sure you know what the answer is. But they just don't want you to argue about it anymore. It's exactly what it is. Dems are backed by big pharma. Republicans are backed by big oil. Yeah. I'm sure people care and want change, but what can we do? Any ideas? I mean, so this is where we started to go a little bit ago, half an hour ago, is what is the next step for progressives? Because as we said, power doesn't give itself up. So the Democratic Party will never, ever change unless they're hurt by it, right? So they took a hit in 2016, and you'd think like, oh, so they probably learned, they probably learned what the Democratic Party like actually wants, or at least a sizable enough wing of the Democratic Party to make voting hurt if they don't vote for you. So they'll probably change and like listen to those people and everything. But in 2020, it appears that is not what they want to do. And they're not interested in listening to the progressive faction of the party. So the only way they're going to do it is to make them feel that pain. And you're damn sure the Democratic Party elites, the people that control the party, don't really care if it's Donald Trump or Joe Biden. They'll still get their stuff done. Just their corporate benefactors are still perfectly happy if it's Biden or Trump. That's irrelevant to them. So they would be fine, but they will cloak themselves in the tears of immigrants being held by ICE and the Supreme Court. They'll cloak themselves in Ruth Bader Ginsburg posters, just wrap themselves in it. What else? Roe v. Wade, they'll draw it on a flag and put that around themselves for warmth. Then they'll go, look, you have to vote for us. What about all this stuff? And at some point, the progressives in the party have to go, I understand, and it's not the best solution, but how long do you keep letting like what's essentially a bully get away with it? For anyone that has children, if your child's getting bullied at school, how long do you just go, it's okay, just deal with it. Just keep giving them your lunch money. You just keep doing that forever? That bully never needs to be taught a lesson that that's not okay. Didn't the Dems block money for ICE on the stance it's going to make them hurt them when it was for food and stuff? Yeah, because Pelosi's a psychopath. I mean, the Democratic leadership itself is still bad. I mean, there's good people everywhere, right? But yeah. What's the breaking point before the progressives actually take a stand? It has to be now. To be completely honest, Unity, it has to be right now. It has to, in my opinion, it has to be now. It has to either be a result of all the voters collectively going, Biden, you will do progressive policies or you will have no vote, which is what I wish Bernie would have done. Earlier today, I mentioned how I was not specifically happy with Bernie and the way he bowed out and the way he ran his campaign, because for the longest time he said Joe was his friend and said he could beat Trump, so it never really drew distinction between himself and Joe Biden. But at some point, what he should do, which is what the Freedom Caucus did, by the way. If you remember the Freedom Caucus, that was like a part of the Republican Party, referred to a little bit as the Tea Party. They came to power pretty quickly, and they did so because they formed an alliance in sort of Congress, right? That would basically say, and tell McConnell and tell the rest of the GOP, you're going to listen to us and put what we want into law, or you will have none of our votes. That's what they said. Now, the GOP will go back and say, well, they were just being obstructionist or whatever. And that's fine. But that's like, no, we're not just letting you do whatever you want. We're a part of this party as well. You will listen to us. The Progressive Party needs that. I know we have the Justice Democrats and the Squad or whatever inside the Democratic Party, but now it looks like AOC is more moving towards like the center or the moderate Democrats than the progressive part of it. But you really need someone like Bernie, and this is why I say it has to be now, that's going to go to the DNC and say, okay, here's the deal. I'm dropping out of the race. I already said that. You can put Medicare for All on your platform today. You can say Nina Turner will be your vice president. You can say that we'll have all these other progressive components of your cabinet and that no Wall Street executives will be on the cabinet. Zero. If you do those things, I will pitch those ideas to my supporters and we will all vote for you. If you do not do those things, you will receive not one single progressive vote in November. And see what they say. Because right now, the Democratic Party is only relying on fear. They're only saying Donald Trump is a monster. Is that good enough? It shouldn't be. You shouldn't be able to shame people and scare people into voting your way, right? You should be able to vote for the ideas you want, where you want the country to go as a whole. So what Bernie needs to do and what the progressives need to do is hold their vote. You can call it a protest vote. You can call it third party. You can call it whatever you want. But if you vote for Joe Biden and that party, you're not complicit, but you're tacitly agreeing with the tactics they've used against the progressive party. That's just how it is. Now, you could say, no, I'm voting against Donald Trump. That's what's most important. Fine. But when you do that, you are also agreeing that it's a setback for the progressive party. You have to admit that. So if you want to move forward with the party, you have to make them feel it. In the ideal situation, Bernie would run thirds. And when he did, it would instantly catapult him to the viability threshold. He would probably get to be in the debate. Next election cycle, Bernie could lead the party but not run in it and nominate all these progressive candidates. It would be huge. There would be a huge turnout for that. It would be all like 45 and under. It would be a big swing in the election. Actually, he might come in second, to be completely honest. He might not come in third. He might come in second. But it can't be that we agree that it's okay to have someone who's raped less as the president, as the person I want to vote for. And by the way, that's unfair because he's never been actually convicted of rape. I'm saying who's sexually assaulted less. Voting the lesser of two evils fucking sucks. We've done it our whole lives. Why are we doing it again? Nothing will ever move. It's been proven. The party will never, ever move or listen to the progressive side unless you force them to do it. You force them to do it by starting a third party, threatening to start a third party, threatening to hold out your vote. And by I mean Bernie threatening it for everyone, which is what he should do. But he needs to, this is one of the big problems with Bernie is he's too nice. He needs to have that like killer instinct, like Trump. Now, you could think whatever you want about Donald Trump. He's an idiot. He's a fascist, racist, bigot, sexual offender, whatever. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. But you can't argue with the fact that if he knows how to win, he's going to go at it 150% until he wins. He will say and do anything to win. Bernie doesn't need to go all that way, but he needs a lot more of that. He needs to go, no, it's worth it. It's worth the country getting on the right track for the next 200 years. It's worth having a little bit of pain now to secure the future. Because he always talks about that he's running not for himself, but for everyone and for the future of children and all this stuff. If you're going to do that, you got to go all the way. That's just my opinion. Political suicide for Bernie, sure. But he could be the leader of a party. He didn't necessarily have to run. They will paint protesters some crazy people getting in the way of the country, getting back on its feet. Oh, I'm sure they will. Virus time is great to prevent protests, that's for sure. Although it might be subsided by then. We'll see. They will say they rather lose than do that. I feel like that's what happened. Neither candidate has been convicted. Trump hasn't run the country into the ground either. True. Yeah. No, I agree with that. They haven't, like I said, they haven't been convicted of sexual assault or anything like that. They have many allegations against them. Those are both fair statements, yeah. But if the Progressive Party wants to be taken seriously, there has to be serious consequences for doing what has happened. For a party that says they're all about policies, which is what I am. I'm not. I love Bernie as a person. If he's not the candidate and it was Elizabeth Warren and she wasn't a quote-unquote snake in the grass or whatever, and was actually a progressive, I would be very, very happy to be voting for her. Very happy. If it was like just between Elizabeth and Bernie dropped out, I wouldn't go, fuck Elizabeth Warren and all my policies that she agrees with. I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, oh, hell yeah. It's fine. Let's go. Maybe Bernie could be involved in some way. Like it wouldn't, if she was actually progressive, which she's been proven not to be, but you know what I'm saying. this sort of area is where I feel like if it was Pete instead of Biden, I'd be more apt to go on Pete or to with Pete if he was like, okay, and you guys remember Pete Buttigieg, he has spoken many times about how Bernie Sanders was like an idol of his. And he wanted to base some of his policies and the way he conducted himself on Bernie Sanders. Now, you can think whatever you want about how he started to attack Bernie and kind of went back on some stuff and took money or whatever. But I do truly believe that, like, deep in his heart, he believed in Medicare for all, and he wanted to help people, and he sort of followed a little closer to Bernie's path. I think that if he was the candidate left against Bernie, that Bernie and him could actually have a talk on progressive ideals, and Pete would go, no, I agree with you, but let's do a small concession here or something like that, but let's still go with like a majority of it. And yeah, I'd love your input on vice president and all this crap, instead of just straight up saying no. Like, Biden is literally the worst candidate of that whole field, except for maybe Bloomberg. That would have been real bad. But like, any of those other guys and Kroos would have been okay. Like, they're not as bad as Joe Biden, who is clearly not all there, has a bad track record with voting. Okay, is just a confirmed liar on many occasions, and is sexually assaulted like a dozen people. Like, that's the guy of all the candidates that the moderates had. That's the one? Why? You would have had a way easier time convincing Progressive to get on board with almost any of those other candidates. Almost any other ones. Even Tom Steyer, the billionaire, who, Bernie with his millionaires and billionaires, like, Tom Steyer was big into climate. Like, okay, we could work with a climate guy. You know what I mean? We could do the Green New Deal. Some of the conversations I've been having with my moderate friends today have been kind of disappointing in that I say to them, okay, now that Biden's the presumptive nominee, and I mentioned this on Twitter today, and I think I got yelled at by like a writer or an editor from Politico in some way. You can check my Twitter timeline. But the guy posted something and then blocked me. It's like, really? Thank you for your show. Stay safe, everyone. Peace. I'll see you later, Unity. Thanks for stopping by. So I said to that guy, okay, well, Biden's the nominee now. So, it's his job to bring the progressives in the fold. Now, other people argue, well, I hope Bernie can bring his people on board. But it's not Bernie's job. You voted for the candidate. You voted for Joe Biden. That's the guy you wanted. That's your candidate. Now it's his job to bring all those people together. Bring all the people together. Okay, so now let's bring in Bernie people. Let's bring in the progressives. How you do that? Probably, what do you have to offer them, right? They don't like your policy. Do you have any concession in your policy? Do you want to move any closer to where they are, etc.? No interest. I asked some moderate friends of mine, and it was literally the answer I got back was, well, he's not Donald Trump. Great. He's not Donald Trump. Okay, I don't think that's a policy position. But, what do you got? Can you do Medicare for all? Can we go there? Can we do Green New Deal? What do you think about any of that stuff? Well, I mean, he's not Trump, though. Oh, great. Thank you so much. And then some of the other comments I got were, well, we only need a few of the Bernie people to come on board. So it's like the default mode of operation. And by the way, these aren't political campaign people. These aren't people that make decisions, they're not political strategists. They're just moderate people who are roughly a little bit in tune with politics. That's it. But their answer is basically like, no, we don't have to offer them anything. They'll just come on board because Donald Trump. So that's the way you win people over to your side of the fence that really are sort of very nervous about it, although are very enthusiastic political people and are looking for someone to get enthusiastic about because their candidate just exited the race. Your pitch to them is, you can come on board if you want. This is the same shit that Hillary did. Remember what Hillary said about the Biden or the Bernie people when they asked her about it? Hillary goes, we don't need them. Well, turns out she did need them. And Biden's going to need them too. You can't think of one thing that you're willing to take a concession on to bring a huge number of young people into the fold. It's absurd. It's closed-minded. It's absurd. It's short-term thinking. It's frustrating. Trump already on it said, Bernie and I have trade agreements in common. That's what Biden needs to do. Yeah. Yep. And by the way, we've talked about this on the show previously, and I talked about it in private on the Discord as well, is Donald Trump is going to move to the left. He's going to take the Bernie people. And if you think I'm crazy, then you haven't understood what I've been saying about Donald Trump. He will do whatever it takes, say whatever it takes to win. You can think anything you want about Donald Trump. He's going to win. That's not me saying he's going to win, but like winning as a sense in any competition he's in, he's going to do what it takes to win. He's already, for months, been setting up his pitch to Bernie people. If you don't remember, this happened, I think, in Iowa. He started tweeting out, looks like the DNC's trying to screw Bernie again. They're delaying the results. Now they're propping up Pete. Now there's weird things with the, there's weird videos out there about the caucuses. Then he did the same thing again in South Carolina. Then they did the same thing when everyone coalesced around Biden after Super Tuesday, or right before Super Tuesday. He's saying the same thing. Trump's been saying this the whole time. Saying, look at they're going to screw Bernie. They're going to screw Bernie out of it, and Bernie's a decent man and all this kind of stuff. He's been setting this up for months. Bernie drops out today. Trump is the first one that tweets. Of course. He says in the tweet, hey, as Badman in the chat says here, hey, Bernie and I agree on a lot of stuff on trade agreements. Actually, in the last election, Bernie Sanders was very against TPP. That would be outsourcing a lot of jobs, all that stuff. Trump had the exact same stance. Hillary was the one that was for TPP. She was for NAFTA. Both Bernie and Trump were against NAFTA. They agree on some policy points. I know that Bernie will come out here and say, this is the worst human being of all time. And Bernie supporters will go, oh my God, Donald Trump. Could you imagine saying anything good about Donald Trump? Donald Trump has a lot of faults, but they agree on some points. Donald Trump has tweeted out in the last 2 or 3 weeks, hey, you know what? It's not really fair that not everyone has access to coverage for coronavirus. Basically then says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to pay the hospitals to take care of the treatment, or whatever he said. Do you know what the government paying hospitals for people's treatment sounds like? There's a name for that. It's called Medicare for All. Donald Trump sort of expressly or accidentally promotes Medicare for All, and that he's thinking about it. That is 150 times closer than Joe Biden is when Joe Biden explicitly says, I will veto Medicare for All. Not once, not twice, but thrice. 3 times he said that shit. What the hell are progressives doing? We're looking at this like, are you serious? Like, how is this crazed maniac who tweets at like 4 a.m. about the dumbest about television ratings or whatever, who's the president of the country, this insane person, closer to understanding our issues than the Democratic candidate? If that doesn't tell you everything about the corporate masters of the Democratic Party, I don't know what does. That's crazy. Trump is greedy and a PR nightmare, but he wants the country to be good. Also, line his friends' pockets at the same time. That's true. But he has that in common with the Democratic Party. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Couple other things. A lot of young Democrat organizations today sent an open letter to Joe Biden. I don't know if you saw it. Kyle Kalinske tweeted it. I think Cenk did as well. I think Crystal might have liked it or something. I think I saw it on her page. They tweeted out an open letter to Joe Biden saying, hey, we understand you're the presumptive nominee. We represent millions of young voters who you do terrible with. They said this in the letter because it's true. Factually and statistically, he does very, very bad with anyone under 45 years old. So these young organizations send him a message saying, hey, we're willing to fight for you. We will dedicate, and they say it right in the letter, we will dedicate hundreds or like $100 million to fighting for the Democratic Party to defeat Donald Trump and for your campaign. Like basically saying like, we'll promote it. And they're coaching it as like, we'll get out the vote for young people. That's how much it's worth. And they said, but here's what you got to do. And they listed like 10 things. And a lot of them were like, you need to put progressive leaders into your cabinet and to important positions of oversight so we can see that progressive policies are actually taking hold. He mentioned that you can have these organizations mentioned, we want no Wall Street executives on your cabinet, no big oil, big pharma executives in your cabinet that make those kind of decisions. They mentioned that they wanted, they didn't mention specific names. They mentioned a few like general names, people like a couple of different names saying like, these are the types of people we'd like to see involved in these roles. We'd like to see a vice president that has a progressive lean. A couple other things on there. I think they said they didn't expressly say Medicare for all, but they wanted like a universal health care platform, a bunch of these different things. Sent this big letter. And I guarantee Joe Biden's response will be like, I'm really looking forward to working with young people, and won't commit to any of that. And I bet the number one on there that he won't commit to is that no Wall Street executives allowed in your cabinet. It's so frustrating because like the DNC has spent all this time for 5 years fighting against Bernie Sanders and the progressive faction of the party. All this time. All the media. Think about how much the media has been, I don't like to say the conspiracy line of they're so in bed with the Democratic Party, but they are. I mean, if you look at the coverage of Bernie Sanders versus the coverage of anyone else, it's not even close to comparable. Okay? They're obviously having a slant towards whoever the Democratic Party says. That's confirmed in the last election. That's confirmed this election. But think about if these people like weren't trying their hardest to fight Bernie. What if they just said, you know what? Bernie's a stronger candidate in general than Joe Biden. In general, in terms of personality and all that kind of stuff. He's a stronger candidate overall. He has a lot of enthusiasm behind him. He's got the young vote that we don't really know how to get. We can get it through him. Why don't we just go with him? Let's just go with him. Democratic Party can step back to the left a little bit. We'll meet the progressives in the middle, probably lean a little more their way with a bunch of stuff. But our party would have like this huge momentum into the future now, because now we have all the progressives in the tent as well. Why the fuck wouldn't they do that? If your goal was to win elections, why wouldn't that be your obvious path forward? You could instantly, I'm not saying double, but increase your supporters in your voter base by like a third probably, with great enthusiasm and furious anger. But like, in terms of percentages to win, why was that not the obvious choice? And the only thing I can think of is that they have vested interests that won't allow those policies that Bernie was pitching. So, can't have it. They would love to have all the progressive voters. They are not willing to go with any of those policies. But think about what a goddamn home run this would be. Even if it wasn't Bernie, even if Elizabeth Warren was like the actual progressive person, and they were like, listen, Bernie, it can't be you because you're a little bit old, but we love all your ideas. Can you be like on the team of coaching this younger progressive person, and the whole Democratic Party will get behind it. Bring in all the voters. Let's get psyched. Let's have huge rallies and all this kind of stuff. Why wasn't that the obvious way to go? For people that will say till they're blue in the face, defeating Donald Trump is the only thing we care about. Their actions say otherwise. There was a very clear 100, it might have been the biggest landslide win of all time if the Democratic Party decided to actually unite. Kidding me? With how much people hate Trump, plus this huge groundswell of new young voters, all this crap. 100% the money Dems have say no Bernie or his policies. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's been pointing that way for the last 5 years is it's become more and more clear to progressives in the party that there's just no interest, that the Democratic Party would rather lose elections than have anything to do with progressive policies. So now that like they've decided on their candidate is Joe Biden, why would any progressives go, oh, you know what, maybe they'll still come around? Like they've proven over 5 years they're not. They have no interest in listening to you. Zero. It is pretty frustrating. So, yeah, I don't know. I am unable to tell any progressive what to do with their vote. I don't want to do that because some people are legitimately have a distaste for Donald Trump, and that's fine. But I can't do it. I can't do it. Not only does my belief system have a problem with me voting for someone who is accused of many sexual assaults, but someone who just lies and votes ways to destroy people's lives, wars, bankruptcy bill, tears down, what's her name? Anita Dunn, during the, or whatever, I can't remember her name, during the Clarence Thomas hearings, like lies constantly about being in a civil rights movement, involved in the civil rights movement. Like the guy's, I can't vote for him unless there's some kind of progressive change that happens. Unless Biden says, you know what? Okay, we're taking Medicare for all, no changes. Okay, we're taking Green New Deal, no change. We're taking both those because I want your guys' support and I'm willing to work with young people. Then I'll reconsider it. But until then, sorry, I'm not going to be shamed or fear-mongered into providing my vote to a candidate who is deeply flawed in many ways. Donald Trump is bad. But we can't keep putting off, actual change. We can't keep taking money from giant corporations and just doing their bidding and saying, fuck little people, fuck poor people, fuck people that don't have insurance, people, working people, unions, screw them all. We're all going to listen to corporate wealthy people. We're done. We're done with that. I'm done with that. It's progressive time. It's third party time. Maybe, hopefully, a new progressive party would be freaking awesome. I don't know if we can turn the Green Party into that. That'd be great. But anyways, we have some time to think about it. November is some X number of months away, 7 months away. You never know what's going to happen until then. Watch them pull Biden at the last second, put Hillary in or some shit, or Andrew Cuomo, who is no better than Joe Biden. I don't care what anyone says. He's so in command of his shit. Anyone that's actually from New York will tell you a different story than that. They'll say, sure, he's done fine with the coronavirus after he did terrible with the coronavirus. He did not act on it fast enough. Now New York is suffering big time. But he's a terrible, governor besides that. Anyways, that's a long rant about Bernie Sanders. The Discord is linked below this video, or I'm sorry, above this video. Someplace around and near this video, you will find a link to Discord. You are free to join. We have a politics channel in there. We talk about it all day long, sometimes too much. But if you're interested in joining that conversation, that option is always there for you. I often tweet some political stuff on the Tweeter. You can find that at Moshkertees on Twitter, Instagram, other websites. I think that might be it. YouTube, but you're here. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, by the way, there's a show called Rising on The Hill. It's a YouTube show. They have two hosts on there, Crystal Ball and Sagar. I'm sorry, can't remember his last name. Crystal Ball is easy because it's like a weird name. They do a really good show, and actually they got shouted out by Rogan today, which is pretty good. And don't even give me that shit about the bot's not on right now because it's disconnected. Bad man. Thank you though. The Rogan actually shouted out their show today. They do a really good show, talking a lot about progressive policies and about some of the shortcomings and honest shortcomings of the Bernie campaign and all that stuff. But I'll be interested to hear their show tomorrow for sure. It's on at 10:30 in the morning every day. Oh shit! I have a meeting at 10 o'clock. Ugh, I can't watch it live. It's okay. It'll be a replay. But I have a feeling tomorrow's show will be interesting. It'll be people talking about Bernie dropping out, and especially what happened on Twitter today with both sides just screaming at each other. Biden making no concession at all to Medicare for all in his comments. It's just going to be bad. Thank you guys so much for